Hello and again welcome to TNT, coming to you from Kazakhstan. And there's a sentence I never thought I'd be saying a few years ago. And apart from all these incredibly wide sidewalks that are literally all around the city, and all these huge trees, I mean, somebody 30 or 40 years ago thought it was a good idea to line all the streets, all the main roads here in the city of Almaty with these trees. I mean, very forward thinking, and the city is now enjoying the fruits of all that work all that time ago. Now, another thing the city has a lot of is cafes, really good cafes with great food, excellent coffee, and it's a cafe scene I wasn't probably expecting. Now, I suppose I'd define myself these days as somewhat, in this situation here, as a digital nomad. And Kazakhstan, well, here in Almaty anyway, is very well set up with good Wi-Fi, good speeds, and really top cafes right around the city. So that has certainly been a surprise. But to the main news stories today, and we've got Thai banks behaving very badly indeed. Easy come, easy go for the Deputy Police Chief, Surachate Hakparn, and a very determined Public Health Minister. All that's coming up on today's TNT. And just before we get into the guts of the main stories today, this from the Bangkok Post, just saw it published, Navigating New Foreign Income Rules, the Revenue Department studying option of the principle of worldwide income. Now, it's a long article, a lot of detail. I know a lot of people are interested, many concerned about the issue, but I would urge you to have a read of that article at the Bangkok Post, headlined Navigating New Foreign Income Rules. So something I can't really cover in the news program. There's a lot of detail in there, but if you are interested, go to thebangkokpost.com. Now, it's been a good day and a bad day for the Deputy Police Chief, Surachate Hakparn. Good news yesterday when he was reinstated. Well, that didn't last long. ThaiPBSWorld.com reporting Police Commission unanimously approves Surachate's removal from service. And the Police Commission voted 12-0 to remove Deputy Police Chief Surachate Hakparn from the police service. And it says that back on April the 18th, Police General Kitrat issued an order transferring Surachate back to the Royal Thai Police from the PM's office before issuing another order dismissing him from the service. Well, then he was reinstated yesterday, and now he's been dismissed again. And after leaving the Police Commission meeting, the PM, who's the chairman of the committee, told the media that the Police Commission Secretary-General will hold a press briefing about the meeting today. In other words, let him deliver the bad news because it's going to be very political. Police General Surachate's been fighting for his reinstatement as the Deputy Police Chief, which would have paved the way for him to become the next Police Chief, as he's the most senior Deputy Police Chief in Thailand. I would say don't count him out yet. I think there's a lot more water to go under that bridge. Okay, to the Public Health Minister who's been speaking up in the last few days. Bangkok Post again, Health Minister still plans to recriminalise cannabis, says most agree. Not really sure about the use of that particular photo for the story, but anyway, caption that photo. And the Public Health Minister, Somsak, said yesterday a survey of about 100,000 people found most respondents wanted the recriminalisation of cannabis, and he would follow through with that. According to the Health Minister, 80% of the respondents supported the recriminalisation. He said most operators will not have any problems, but those who want to use cannabis for recreation will. The government does not want it used for recreation anyway. Or is that any way? The minister said the government supported cannabis use for medical, health and economic benefits, and relevant regulations would be issued. Last month, Mr. Somsak said that cannabis use among young adults had increased tenfold in the last 2 years since it was decriminalised. And the next sentence is, I think, the important one. Phumjai Thai leader Anatin Sharvidakun was health minister in 2022. And responsible for the decriminalisation of cannabis, which was a return of a political favour, and is now the Interior Minister and a Deputy Prime Minister and chairs the Narcotics Control Board. And just like the story about Surachate Hakparn, I would say this story isn't over. In fact, the opera isn't finished until the fat lady sings. By the end of today, Thailand will have a brand new Senate, elected by the people, for the people. The Election Commission's confirmed that the identities of 200 new senators will be unveiled at 5 p.m. Thai time today. 2,989 candidates showed up for the national level of the senatorial selection process. So they're going through all that today. The first round of voting will commence to select 40 people from each of the 20 eligible background groups, and then the second round, in which candidates will have to select from those outside of their own background group. And by the end of all that, we'll have a new Senate in Thailand, and people will be very interested to see who's ended up having a seat in the upper house and which political backgrounds they may represent. But of course, the elephant in the room, and alluded to in this story from Prime Asia News, senatorial election underway in Thailand without the military. And for the first time in the country's recent troubled history, the military will not be directly present in parliament, even if the pro-military Palang Pratarat party is part of the ruling coalition in the National Assembly led by its historic rival, the Pheu Thai. And after the Senate election, a showdown within the majority is possible. Some observers suggest to further marginalise the military from public life. So if you thought there might be more peaceful times with Thai politics ahead, I'd say get out the popcorn. There might be more fun coming. Now, just alluding back to the last story, I neglected to mention this. Is marijuana legal in Kazakhstan? Marijuana is illegal in Kazakhstan. Possessing, using, cultivating, selling or distributing cannabis in any form is against the law. But it's in Central Asia and cannabis grows naturally in the wild. Indeed, 400,000 hectares of cannabis grows wild in the Chui Valley. And 93% of the nation's marijuana comes from Kazakhstan, suggesting there's plenty of black market activity in the country. And that Chui Valley is about 40 kilometres in that direction from Almaty. No, I'm not going. Now to a story that I think puts a lot of Thailand to shame, especially the banks, especially one bank. We go to Nikkei Asia. Myanmar military shifts arms financing to Thai banks from Singapore. Thailand's replaced Singapore as the preferred banker and leading source of military supplies purchased through the international banking system by Myanmar's military regime, after Singapore cracked down on Myanmar-related accounts. We go to the Associated Press story. Thai banks are the top suppliers of financial services to Myanmar's military, this according to a UN report. And the report by Tom Andrews, the UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, tracks how the military junta has been able to continue procuring arms by shifting suppliers of financial services and military hardware, as previous sources have been blocked by sanctions imposed by the US, EU and other states. The report charges that companies in Thailand have taken up the slack left by the withdrawal of Singapore firms. And over the past year, 16 banks located in 7 countries processed transactions related to the State Administration Council military procurement. And 25 banks have provided correspondent banking services to Myanmar's state-owned banks since the coup. And it singles out Thai banks as playing a major role in facilitating international business for Myanmar's ruling military, citing the example of Siam Commercial Bank, which it says carried out US $5 million in transactions in 2022, rising to more than $100 million US in 2023. And at this stage, the bank declined to immediately comment on the report. And the UN report finishes, banks have a fundamental obligation to not facilitate crimes, and this includes war crimes and crimes against humanity. Well, I think it's very important for Siam Commercial Bank and any other Thai banks doing business with the Burmese military to detail exactly what they're doing and what their plans are, and why they think it's a good idea to deal with the junta. Because in the long run, Thailand could end up being included in sanctions, and of course it just doesn't look good on the international stage. So hopefully you're a bit more up to date on the main stories from around Thailand today as we come from the city of Almaty in Kazakhstan. And I thought this Saturday program, because well, I'll be in Almaty, we'll do a live program devoted to, well, not only the city, but really the surprise that the city has been. Now, if any of you were thinking about Kazakhstan, apart from thinking about Borat, you probably would have thought, well, it's something to do with the Silk Road, something to do with camels, people riding around horses with big fur hats. Well, I mean, Almaty has been a total surprise to me, and I would like to share some of that with you, and the feeling that whilst the West has been sleeping over the last 20 or 30 years, a lot of these countries that we really never thought much about have been changing very, very quickly indeed. I think it's worth talking about. Let's do that on Saturday. I invite you to join us between 9 and 10 a.m. Thai time. I'll have to sort of get my times coordinated, but we'll do that, and we look forward to speaking to you then. Thanks for joining us today.